Hi there and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do an income review for the month of January 2025 for the Binance airdrops that occurred during the last 31 days. Alright, so today is the 1st of February, so it's a good time to report on how much was made in January. Now, it hasn't been a spectacular month, at least compared to December, which was a spectacular month. But it's also been a curious month because we had a kind of like an overhang from December into January. There are two pure airdrops which took place in January, and there's one kind of overhang from December. And that's already been addressed in my December income review, which was indeed the bio airdrop. It wasn't a particularly good one, but I dealt with it in December because the majority of the farming period, it was a Binance Launch Pool project, the majority of the farming period, 70% of it was in December. So I thought it was more reasonable to include it in December rather than in January, and it didn't generate a huge amount of income anyway. As for the projects that actually launched in January, we had a Megadrop. And this was a Megadrop that was announced in December, but it didn't actually start working or accumulating until the 7th of January, where you had to perform the tasks. It was SOLV, which is a Bitcoin restaking protocol, basically. So this Megadrop ran from the 7th until the 17th of January, and it was reasonably lucrative. I mean, I was reasonably happy with the returns on this one. As always, I sold very close to the open within the first minute or something of trade commencing on the 17th of January, and I was able to get a price of 16.9 cents for my SOLV, which was pretty good in retrospect because subsequent to that, as is quite normal for most of these airdrop type projects on Binance, the price hasn't performed very well. The last time I looked at it, it was about 5.6 cents. So it's basically gone down by about 2/3 from the sales point, and therefore I feel pretty happy about my decision to sell on day one, or actually minute one. In terms of percentages, this is the percentage that I made from this airdrop, just from this airdrop, relative to the value of my BNB stake. It worked out at 1.37%. So not the best, but not bad by any measure. So I was pretty happy with that one, and this Megadrop project really worked out for me. Secondly, we had Anime, which was a coin which was based on basically animations and people who were creating animated characters and stuff like that. I did not have a lot of faith in this one, to be honest. I don't have a lot of faith in most of the projects that launch on Binance, but this one I certainly wanted to dispose of it as quickly as possible, and that's exactly what I did. This one was a Holdler airdrop, so there was no farming period or anything like that, and it listed on the 23rd of January. The listing was actually delayed by an hour. This is just something that happens with Binance. It's really quite annoying. I was actually sitting there with my finger on the trigger, and then it went from like 30 seconds to opening to be like an hour and 30 seconds, so it was quite irritating. However, when it finally opened, I was able to get rid of it for 9.1 cents. That unfortunately didn't equate to a very fantastic return for me when compared to the value of my BNB stake, only working out at 0.417%, so less than 1% return on this one. However, it was definitely a good decision to get out of Anime Coin because the price has basically halved since I sold it. It's now down at about 4.6 cents or somewhere around there, and I'm sure it's got further to fall. So if we take both of the projects, we had SOLV, which yielded 1.787%, and we had Anime Coin, which yielded 0.417%. If we combine both of them together, then we come to 1.787%. So 1.787% is the return that I achieved for the month of January based on the value of my BNB stake. Now, 1.7, almost 1.8% for a month. It doesn't sound that impressive, but it's actually quite good if you put it into APR terms, because it takes it up to around 21% a year APR. That's the ballpark anyway. Obviously, if you're APYing it, it would be more than that. It might be like 23, 24% or something APY. But I don't do that. I just consider it to be APR. So 21% a year plus what you get from the Binance simple earn terms, which frankly isn't much. It's like 0.4% APR or something. But you can add that in as well. So in my opinion, it's not a very bad way of making money, and I think it's a low risk way of making money as well, because you're just in BNB and it's a fairly major established altcoin backed by the Binance exchange. So I'm fairly happy holding BNB, which is definitely a top 10, actually top 5 project, and I think that holding that as opposed to holding some cheap hot alts in the hope that they go up is probably a better way of making money for me via airdrops, rather than trying to trade or something of that nature. All right, well, let's hope that February is a good month. I haven't heard anything about airdrops yet in February, but we will see what tomorrow brings, as they say. I'm hoping that throughout the year, as long as the crypto market, especially the altcoin market, remains robust, that we'll see more and more airdrops coming through from Binance, and we should be able to see levels at least of what we saw in January, which was an acceptable month. It wasn't fantastic like December, but it was still quite okay. As long as we can maintain those kind of levels going forward, I would be very happy. All right, well, I hope people found this video useful, and I will see you soon in the next one.